All right, and we are back. We are back with another episode of the Overdue Bills podcast, and this is our interview edition. We are so excited. We are so excited to have Alex Clancy here with us. Hello, Alex. How you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. And always, yours truly, my guy, Matt, aka Matty Ice, aka Matt COVID, aka no, just we said we was gonna take it off, Matt, but I had to throw it in there.
Yeah, I know.
We really do appreciate Alex. But Alex, please let us know if you can your socials where people can find you.
Yeah, I'm at Clancy's Corner on Twitter. I do the Locked On Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I host and produce shows on Fox Sports 910 Phoenix as well. So that's pretty much it.
Appreciate you, Alex. We appreciate you.
Yeah, of course.
Let the people understand it is obviously a different time, difference, and we really appreciate him for coming on. It's a little early there, midday here, but thank you.
No problem.
All right, Alex.
So are you from Arizona or?
I'm from LA originally.
Okay.
Oh wow.
I've lived here for about 10 years now. I moved
Okay.
a couple places in between, but yeah, I love it here.
Nice.
Decembers are different.
Yeah,
Put it that way.
lot
December's a
different
little
than
different.
lot different than here for sure.
Yeah. My rule was I started school in Colorado in Boulder, and I would
Ooh.
spin out 3 days a week, 3 times a week when I'm driving. I'm like, that's it. I'll take 120 if I can see the road when I'm driving. So that's what I do now.
Okay. Okay. What we like to do is we like to have a quick question of the day, and I gotta ask you something, Alex, because if people want to know, how do I want to ask this? I'll say like this: if you were Cliff, right? If you were Cliff Kingsbury, they're paying you all this money, Arizona Cardinals, you're the head coach. What would you have done last game against the Miami Dolphins? Would you have kicked the field goal? That's what the people want to know.
Well, yes, to
Wow.
answer that question specifically, but there was the play call on 3rd and 1 was the problem.
Okay.
And it was just a flare out to Christian Kirk, which is where they eat at times, especially in the red zone. A lot of touchdowns have been scored over the last couple of years with that play. But with how Kyler Murray's been running the ball, that's where you run the design run for Kyler. I would have much rather taken a 10-yard loss with Kyler having the ball in his hands than having to throw a tough ball to the outside when all you have to do is gut it up the middle. And if Kenyon Drake was playing, he probably would run it up the middle. But the actual kicking of the field goal, I would kick that 100 times out of 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was much debate. You know what I'm saying? Like every pundit, everybody was, debating it. They really killed him. To be honest with you, they killed Cliff. But I agree. I think I would have kicked the field goal as well. Matt.
Yeah, I think you got to kick the field goal there. I'm just kind of mad. I mean, Zane Gonzalez, he usually hits that kick, and us here in Buffalo, we were a little slighted with that too, trying to get some help in the division.
Yeah,
they're right on our heels.
Oh God.
But I never thought I'd be saying that about Miami this year, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Alex, I do have to ask this question. It's kind of a personal question. Even though I don't have Kenyon Drake in fantasy, I don't. But a lot has been said between the pundits, and we're kind of getting to the offensive category, that Cliff Kingsbury running scheme is terrible. Like that's the narrative that you hear. It's like, okay, obviously Kyler Murray is going off as far as, his stats. It seems like he's literally a running back. But when you looked at Kenyon Drake, it just wasn't working. It seemed like he was supposed to be this workhorse. He was supposed to, have 15 to 20 touches a game. You know what I'm saying? Like I guess, Josh Jacobs type or, you know what I'm saying? This explosion. But yet it hasn't happened. And, we saw Chase Edmonds, sparingly, he would break off a run. You know what I'm saying? He would break off a run here, break off. So I was like, okay, maybe Edmonds is better than Kenyon Drake. Maybe Kenyon Drake, the knee injury from the offseason or whatever, maybe it's just not working out for him. But when you put Chase Edmonds in this, role, he's not doing anything. I mean, what did he have? 25 for 86 like last week or something like that? So can you talk about, is it the running scheme? Is like why is it not working? It just doesn't seem like it's working.
I don't think I've never been as high on Kenyon Drake as everybody else.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, the one big play, well, there's two plays that I remember of his. One was running a kickoff back in college in the national championship game, which was a bonkers run that kind of put him on the map because he wasn't the starting running back, obviously.
True.
And then the crazy play at the end of the New England game a couple years ago that knocked New England out of the one.
Yeah.
So, like, when he was traded here, he had 800 all-purpose yards in the final 8 games of the 2019 season. And it was like, that's going to work for the future. I equated that exactly to when Jimmy Garoppolo got traded to San Francisco.
Absolutely.
And they had no wins, and the games didn't matter in the tail end, and he went 5-0. It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, it's great for stats. It's got him 137 and change guaranteed afterwards. But Kenyon Drake getting the $8 million transition tag, it's a placeholder. I'm sure the running scheme, the offense as a whole has been kind of clunky.
Okay.
The play call. It's like sometimes it's this magical trailer of a movie you want to see, and then sometimes it's like a full series of a TV show, but there's just clips from different episodes and it doesn't make any sense. And that's kind of where we are with the run game. It's like Kenyon Drake likes to go east and west a lot more than he should.
Yeah.
When he goes north and south, like we've seen recently, he's been having a little bit more success. And Chase Edmonds, as we saw from this past Sunday, he's the scat back. He's the Chris Thompson. He's the J.D. McKissick. Yeah. He's a little bit better carrying the ball than both of those guys. We've seen him. He's had monster games rushing the ball over his time in the NFL. But he's a great compliment, and they're like a perfect. If they were one back,
it would be amazing.
It'd be $60 million in a contract, but it's just not the case. They just need to figure it out. It's a work in progress for sure.
Absolutely. It was kind of a selfish question because you hear it. I know you're fantasy guys out there. I know y'all wondering, but I listen. And that's the thing. It's like, you had to draft him, second round, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, he's really not doing it for you. But just for all you guys out there, lower your expectations because it's probably not going to work. All right, let's get into this matchup real quickly. Let's get into this matchup. Arizona Cardinals versus the Buffalo Bills. Really highly anticipated matchup. Some people say it's the game of the week. It's a 4:00 game. It's going to be in Arizona. Kind of, different for us. We're generally 1:00 game. But nonetheless, highly anticipated game. And Matt, I know you were, before we had this pre-production meeting, you wanted to ask Alex some questions about this game. Matt, I give you the floor right now.
Well, I got one that's non-football related. Actually, it's a Buffalo connection. They actually put a Ted's Hot Dogs out there in Tempe a couple years ago.
Oh,
have you been there? It's a Buffalo thing.
Yeah, that's been around here for 50 years or something.
Oh, around in Arizona?
Yeah, in Tempe, I think it's been around forever.
I thought they just opened it a few years ago. I could be wrong, but I know that they've been open since 1927. But that's definitely started in Buffalo.
Oh damn!
Ted's Hot. Yeah. So have you been?
Yeah, like finding hot dogs in Arizona is impossible. And then I found out about Ted's. Like I grew up in LA. Carney's is this place in LA that's the mecca for me. And then I go to Chicago and dogs. I don't really get it, but Ted's are good.
Neither.
Yeah. Yep. It's a big, like the Salem's hot dogs. They're a huge thing here. And Ted's is there's like 20 of them here. It's a staple with the Loganberry, which is also a Buffalo thing. I don't know if you've indulged in that.
I have no idea what that is.
It's a drink. Yeah. It's a drink. It's just like But
I'd try it. I don't have the means.
Yep. I just wanted to see if you'd gone because I knew they'd opened there, or maybe they opened a closer location or something. Because I actually had a buddy move to Phoenix a few years ago, and he was all pumped. He texted me like, "Hey, they just opened a Ted's here." Like he was all pumped about it. So I just wanted to see if you'd gone. That's a non-football related question.
Oh yeah, for sure I have.
All right, good.
So Matt, one of the biggest things is it's really hurting my heart. I'm not gonna lie to you, because at the beginning of the season, honestly, Josh Allen MVP candidate, right? And all of a sudden, the last couple games, all you hear is Kyler Murray is this dark horse that's going to, win the MVP. He's overshadowing Josh Allen right now, and it's really hurting me. But Alex, can you do us this favor? Can you talk about the early success of Kyler Murray? I mean, obviously he was drafted to be who he is, right? Like, obviously, I drafted, but it seems to me as if it seems like he's taking a leap, like, right? Like he's getting to that upper echelon category. He's mentioning Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, like he's getting in those conversations. So can you talk about it? Like, was this expected, or did y'all think that y'all had to wait, a little bit longer?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a good question because if you look at looking at Josh Allen first, when I found out, when I was doing the draft research before he got drafted, obviously at 7 from Buffalo, that he didn't make the Mountain West Conference all-conference team his last year, and then he goes top 10 in the draft. Like, what the hell? There's a disconnect there. There was a big question mark, raw talent, but you don't really know if he can throw the ball to a player 80 yards down the field. You just know he can throw the ball 80 yards down the field.
Right about it.
His running ability was kind of under wraps. It's kind of like the opposite of Justin Herbert in college. Nobody really knew his arm strength because the offense didn't scheme for it. With Kyler, you knew that he was usually the most athletic person on the field pound for pound when he was in college. Mm-hmm. The Alabama playoff game, if they didn't spot Alabama 21 points, they probably could have won that game. They
Absolutely.
ended up losing by 10 or 11. Kyler was the best player on the field that day too. I look at Kyler from a non-homer approach because I'm not technically a Cardinals fan. I like to see it from the outside. And when they drafted him, I thought they should have drafted Nick Bosa.
Wow.
What the hell are you doing? Why? And this is it didn't make any sense that a guy that was going to play baseball, a guy that was 5'10", maybe, it's like I didn't understand. They just drafted Josh Rosen. He got an unfair shake with the worst offense in NFL history. Like, something's got to give here. They drafted him. I saw it as Steve Keim, his last. I called it a Hail Murray instead of a Hail Mary. I know it's stupid, but a Hail Mary to keep his job. I was like, if he drafts Kyler Murray and it works, he's going to be the GM for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And week 1, 2019, I was in the press box against Detroit. They get embarrassed in the first half, him and Cliff. Cliff Kingsbury was interviewed after, and he thought that he could have got fired at halftime. Like, there was just – and then Kyler comes back with this epic comeback, sends it to overtime. They could have won in overtime, and then the star is born.
Yeah.
Like, what are we witnessing right now? Yeah. Like, this kid has no business doing what he's doing because nobody's ever done it before.
Sure.
And the rise that he's had this year it's surprising, at least with his legs. It's not I thought that they were going to curtail it a little bit. The over-under was 499 yards.
Oh, my God.
Rushing the season, you touched that already.
Oh, my God.
583 already?
Yeah, it's insane. And the comps, the comp to Lamar Jackson, I've been in the camp of saying I would take Kyler Murray for one game over Lamar Jackson, hands down, because Kyler Murray is actually a thrower of football.
He throw the ball, yeah.
He just happens to run. He's got a cannon.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson is one of the most talented players we've ever seen in the NFL, but he still kind of had that athlete moniker while playing quarterback, and Kyler doesn't have that. Like, the rise that he's had through 8 games this year he's had downs. He's only had 9 completions against Dallas.
That's terrible.
But 4 times than not, the kid's been special.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, he's completing 68% of his passes. He's not in. But I have a question. How to being like in the media, in the press box, how tired are you listening to a game and hearing announcers? It seems like they love to do it every game. Every time he slides, they're like, "Oh yeah, well he can really slide because he got drafted in the first round by the Athletics."
Yeah,
it's like you can almost bet on that every game. Like,
it is a sexy slide. It is.
They're gonna say it. I was like, it's like, yeah, we get it. He got drafted by the A's. We've been hearing it for all these games now. It's a stat that you don't have to use media time for it.
Yeah, it's the cool part about it is like when people are worried about Kyler getting drilled when he's running, like the reason why the slide is so important, and it's funny, I agree with you. They talk about it too much. They do. But the one thing, if you watch Kyler Murray, he knows exactly where he is, and he knows exactly where the defenders are at all times when he's running the ball. So he is happy to do the LaDainian Tomlinson and just go out of bounds 2 yards early, go down 2 yards early. Like, there's no reason to take hits when it's a yard or two here and there in the middle of the game, in the middle of the field. So the slide, it looks clunky and ridiculous, but he's giving himself up probably 2 to 3 yards earlier than other guys would, and that's self-preservation. Because he knows if he gets drilled, I mean, he could be down. So
yeah, for sure.
But it is a sexy slide, I'll tell you what.
It is.
Like you played baseball before.
It'll help. It obviously helps. Sliding into home, you want to avoid that tag. Same
Sure.
avoid that defender, right? So, but
Exactly.
it's just like every time it's like that they hear that meme like don't say it, and then they say it right there. It's like he got drafted by the Athletics. Oh.
What?
Almost got out there.
Yeah. What? I guess I had a question, even for both of you, Matt and Alex, specifically to the game, because one of the things that they talk about, as far as Lord Jesus, one of the things that they talk about as far as Kyler Murray is he's not as good throwing outside of the pocket, which is very interesting because he's a dynamic athlete. Kind of like over the last maybe couple weeks of this season, there's been write-ups about his adjusted completion rating outside of the pocket, and I think I was reading somewhere like it's like sixth worst. Surprisingly, he's very good in the pocket, not so much good outside the pocket. So my question to Matt, then Alex, I want you to counter. Matt, does this bode well for the Buffalo Bills? I mean, I have something in my mind, but I want to ask you, does this bode well for the Buffalo? Like the fact that can we possibly get pressure? Even though we picked a certain person in the first round last year who's supposed to be in our middle of our defensive line. I don't want to say his name, but so can Ed Oliver get pressure up the middle? Can
that's the thing and it's another thing. We could have used the guy that you have who's not going to get his revenge game in Jordan Phillips.
Oh my God!
But honestly, I don't think that is an advantage for us because we haven't been able to get home. Besides last week, we haven't really been able to get home and get guys out of the pocket. So I would say no, it's not going to be a real. It doesn't really bode well if he can't throw outside of the pocket because I don't think they're going to do a great job flushing them out unless last week's defense shows up.
We'll see. So Alec, what do you think the problem is then? Like what's wrong with him?
What we're seeing a lot of is when he's out of the pocket, he's running the ball.
Yeah.
So he's not. So there's not as much. I mean, because Josh Allen seems to never be in the pocket. Like, he always seems to be dancing around behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, but he's also a linebacker, so he could kind of get away with it and push off some pressure. I don't know. There's things, and referring again to kind of the clunkiness of the offense, the whole synchronicity of the offense just isn't there yet, and that's kind of been lagging. That's on Cliff.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that has something to do with it, and also again, Kyler hasn't played perfectly throughout the whole season. Nobody does. He's had these flashbulb moments of just how are you human and how are you doing these things.
True.
But we talked about that on the show on Friday. Like that was kind of a surprising stat. Mm-hmm. It's like some stats I'm just like, you know what? Just watch the game. See if he's good or not.
Absolutely.
Just tell me that. But no, that was a very, very surprising stat because, and now we'll be focusing on it to see what the issues are. I just don't know. And I think part of it also has to do with the fact that when he gets out of the pocket and loads up, he's throwing the ball down the field. Obviously, accuracy percentages are a little bit lower when you throw the ball down the field. But it'll definitely be something to watch on Sunday.
Okay, so I guess I'll throw this question for the Bills fans. Would you rather build the team with Josh Allen or Kyler Murray moving forward?
Kyler Murray.
Oh gosh.
And listen, if we talked about this last year, I probably would have said Josh Allen.
Okay.
Like in the middle of the season, like. For all the fumblerooskies he's had in his first year, he's just kind of grown up and learned how to be quarterback. Kyler, there was like the safer bet would have been Josh Allen. But now, I mean, Kyler's just they're both going to be great for a long time. And you could tell, like at this point, young quarterbacks, you can tell pretty much right away.
Yeah.
Like Josh Allen has the ability to throw for 600 yards in a game and break your heart in the same game. Yes, Kyler Murray doesn't really have that yet. He's not going to throw for that many yards. He's not going to be able to run as effectively in the around the goal line like Josh Allen is able to. But yeah, Kyler Murray.
Okay. Matt, what I want to do is, since we both made some off-season moves, right? As far as the wide receiver position is concerned, one thing we want to look at during this game is obviously Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins. Now, what we do know is last year, even though DeAndre Hopkins was on the Houston Texans, we've seen this matchup between him and Trey White, right? We've seen this matchup. DeAndre Hopkins, I think he had about 81 yards, something like that. He didn't have like a crazy game in the playoffs, but nonetheless, he did catch some balls. Like he actually made an impact. So with that being said, Matt, who do you think has gotten the better out of their receivers that they got during the offseason? Is it us, the Bills, with Stephon Diggs, or is it D-Hop? Like, who has been a better player to their quarterback? I know it's kind of like it's kind of skewed, but just kind of because get a chance to talk about them.
Well, I think it's tough to say. I mean, if stats wise, obviously you go Diggs, but like if you go D-Hop, he's been doubled and been getting a lot of pass interference calls. And if you go by his stat, he'd have 2,000 yards this year.
That's true.
Because he said that pass interference yardage should count towards the receiver stats this week. But yeah, I mean, I would say it's about an even right now, just because the fact that you gotta account for him at all times, and he could change the game at any time too, catching a bomb or just doing whatever. So I would say it's even. But if you look at the stats, Steph obviously he's the number one receiver in the league, but he's also the most targeted receiver in the league. So that's another question with that. But I would say right now it's about an even trade.
How do you feel about Alex? Do you like Stephon Diggs on the Bills?
Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, I thought DeAndre Hopkins was the most underrated receiver the last 3 years.
Wow.
Because he's kind of like Larry Fitzgerald in that respect, where it's a smaller market, nobody pays attention.
Mm-hmm.
The dude's got the best hands in the game. I mean, before he was traded to the Cardinals, I thought that. Stephon Diggs is like this great step up from what could have been Antonio Brown a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Like when they traded for Stephon Diggs, I'm like, oh, that's the AB move without the head case. Yeah. And he's the best. He's probably the best route runner in the game. Stephon Diggs is. He can run short, intermediate, or deep routes. Like what? I can't believe that Minnesota gave him up.
That was
silly.
It's
just not something. Like it's not as surprising, obviously, as Houston giving up Nuke for a second rounder.
That's ridiculous.
David Johnson, but I think that I still think DeAndre Hopkins is the best in the game. And this isn't like a homer take. I've thought that for years. It's just the Cardinals' wide receiving core isn't close to as deep as the Bills. I mean, I think going into Sunday, Cole Beasley, John Brown, and Stephon Diggs are nightmares for the Cardinals secondary.
John Brown.
They can run all the routes. You have Cole Beasley short, John Brown deep, and Stephon Diggs intermediate, or you can interchange all of them. Mm-hmm. And it's just they're just possession receivers on steroids. It's insane.
Yeah.
So I would still take DeAndre Hopkins, but it's way closer than I thought it would be when the season started.
Yeah, I mean, DeAndre, he doesn't drop passes. I think he had that whole 2018 season without a drop pass. That's like the most impressive stat that I've ever seen from a wide receiver. And I think he still has a record with catches in a game, if I'm not wrong. It's like 22, or he broke like Brandon Marshall's record one game, I believe. It's just the guy is unbelievable. Just some of the catches he makes, and just you don't ever see it. So.
I think I got two more questions in the office. I want to ask you, Alex. I'm really trying to get into this game. But this is a personal question. Just for those fantasy players who are in dynasty leagues, is it okay to drop Andy Isabella? Is he is he one of the worst players in the football? I need to know that.
It's so frustrating because so we had 3 touchdowns in the first 2 games. We're like, okay. This is the biggest mistake Andy Isabella ever made was not being born DK Metcalf. Like that's it. Because he will always be looked at as, if he has 1,000 receiving yards every year for the rest of his career, he will not be DK Metcalf, and the Cardinals passed on DK Metcalf, so he will not be DK Metcalf. So you can drop him because he's not DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
Like and listen, he seems like a sweet kid. Anything we hear about him, it's just he led the nation in receiving in UMass last year. So he knows, here's the thing. They need to figure out a role for him.
Absolutely.
And if they don't, somebody else will. I think he's going to be a good receiver in the league.
Yeah.
He runs good routes. He obviously has a deep ball capability. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it takes guys a little bit longer than others. And again, the reason why there's so much pressure on him is because he's not DK Metcalf or Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
That's really the reason why there's so much expected from him right away.
I think the emergence, I guess I would say the emergence of Christian Kirk too has kind of hurt him too.
Yeah.
Because it took him a few years, but now it seems like he's almost like Kyler's favorite target, or at least deep ball target.
Yeah.
This season.
Sure.
It's interesting because I think Andy Isabella is going to be okay, right? I think he has the measurables, you know what I'm saying? Obviously he can catch, but like when you look at it, I was just looking at y'all played him last week, Devontae Parker. It took Devontae Parker like 5 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it took him a long time. Even Corey Davis with Tennessee, it took him a long time to kind of be that, consistent player. So I think he's going to be all right. It was just
a long time.
Huh?
Like it took Wes Welker 5 or 6
Absolutely.
years.
Yeah, it happens.
So, I mean, and that's the comp. Edelman was a quarterback from Kent State. He came in, and if you get the right system and, maybe the best quarterback of all time throwing you the ball, you don't know. But, I mean, it took Wes Welker was cut by 2 teams. He was cut by Miami and the Chargers before he went to New England. So I'm not saying it's going to be that, but you're right. It takes a while.
All right. So what I want to ask you, because Kenyon Drake his status is up in the air, or is he just not playing?
No, it's looking like he's going to play.
Okay, it's looking like he's going to play. All right, and we know as far as the Bills' defense is concerned, like stopping the run is definitely our weakness, right? I mean, we haven't been the stout defense we was last year. But I think the secondary is kind of coming along. But, as far as the run is concerned, we're not, we'll see. So, with that being said, do you think Cliff is just going to go full out, no air raid, just going to run the ball? Like, he's going to try to run the ball down our throats? Are we going to see quarterback sneaks with Kyler Murray? Like, what are we going to see?
Yeah. I mean, you're going to see a lot of – I mean, the rush attempts are going to be higher than normal, most likely. And that just sets up – Christian Kirk taking the top off the defense and DeAndre Hopkins being able to eat again after a tough game last week in the loss. It's just when Kyler Murray's your best running back, it's hard to get other people just in the flow of the game. And it's just like Kenyon Drake, what they try and do is establish Kenyon Drake early and establish Chase Edmonds in the pass game. And then, if it doesn't work, they go elsewhere. But with Tre'Davious White and with the linebacking core that you guys have, I think running the ball is going to be more the focal point, especially with the interior defensive line not being what it once was, even though Jordan Phillips is out and he had a monster year last year. Obviously, that's not the status quo for him. He had 5 career sacks before last year.
Yeah,
when he took the roof off. I think running the ball is going to be a thing, especially because if nothing else, it keeps Josh Allen off the field.
Absolutely,
and that's like Josh Allen's like the perfect mix of if Cam Newton and Patrick Mahomes had a baby. He's super raw, but he's still super raw, but he's getting polished more and more by the day. He can score in 15 seconds. That's a Patrick Mahomes thing. They get one play, 80 yards, touchdown. Like, not all teams can do that. So the longer you can keep him off the field, and usually that's by running the ball and having sustained drives, the better it's going to be.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. So with that being said, if we talk about Arizona defense, Matt, I want to come to you real quickly. The fact that Chandler Jones is gone, right? Yeah. Do you think, Matt, what are our advantages as far as Buffalo Bills is concerned? Because I don't know the status of Budda Baker. Is he gonna? You think he's gonna play?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because it's a groin, and all teenage dude jokes aside, like, you don't mess with that. Like,
no, you're right.
He's questionable. I think Budda Baker's going to get to a point where, just not to be long-winded, he's going to get the star treatment early.
Yeah.
Like, remember, Bob Sanders and Ed Reed used to hit so hard, but they'd be injured. They were injured all the time.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to kind of give him more of a veteran schedule in practice when he's hobbled. He's questionable now. I would expect he's going to play, but if one more week without him means that he'll be healthy moving forward, you may not see him on the field. It's really going to be a game-time decision.
Before I go, Matt, you're going to answer that advantage for our offense, but what's his player comp? Is it Troy Polamalu? When I watched that Dallas game, I just swear, it's just like he was everywhere. Like, I just couldn't, like, he was always on the screen somewhere. Like, what's his comp?
I mean, I don't know yet.
Okay.
Because he's not... Like, I interviewed him once in outside of a charity event, and he is pint-sized.
Really?
Like, he's got a baby face, and he's just a killer. Like, you don't – the first year or so, first of all, people didn't know about him because he played in Washington, and games are on at 11:30 your time at night. Yeah. So why would people watch on the East Coast with all that damn East Coast bias? I'm not going to get into it. But, like, coming out of Washington, first year was fine, and then – there was a Thursday night game, I think, against San Francisco where he lit up George Kittle twice. They're like, whoa, where is this coming from? I think the comp would be a more polished Bob Sanders.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Ed Reed's an all-world.
Yeah.
You can't comp guys like that. Jamal Adams is a freak of nature and Derwin James, their bodies are different.
Absolutely.
Budda Baker is a traditional safety body, and he just hits like a linebacker. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's why I don't know Troy Polamalu, just because he's so miniature and he was just always at the line, just like, and it seems like Budda Baker.
They see it, but I mean that's one of the biggest compliments you could give any defensive player. So I'm saying I'm maybe reserving judgment for now.
I hear you, but
I definitely love Budda Baker coming out of college because I'm one of those guys. I put some money on the game, so 11 o'clock. I'm definitely betting. I was betting the Huskies when they were playing for sure.
There you go.
But Matt, I know to answer that, I'm sorry, I threw us off. I'm sorry.
No, it's
but as far as the advantage for the Buffalo offense, like, right? Like we know Josh Allen, he's coming along. We talked about our receiving core earlier. Zach Moss, let's just see. But like, what are our advantages? Maybe if he plays, if Budda Baker plays, if he doesn't, who knows?
Well, I mean, obviously, like you said, our receiver core, we have an advantage all the time because they're possession guys, and you got Josh, who's a threat of running the ball. And I know Arizona has had some issues like with their front seven. Their linebackers have been under scrutiny all year long. I know the first round pick, Isaiah Simmons, he hasn't really found himself yet. I know they've been like Patrick Peterson's been quoted like we gotta find a role for him, man, because he's good, but he's just not where we want him to be. But I think our advantage is still our receivers because we're going to throw the ball a lot. But other than that, I think the threat of the run is still there just because the front seven isn't great, especially without Chandler Jones, and that linebacker core has been kind of like ours. It's just been like they haven't really showed up yet this year.
You could go. I'm sorry.
No, so I think our advantage always is the passing attack, but we do have the threat of running. It just I don't trust our running game, because we haven't really used it that much this year.
At all.
It's just tough, tough to say with that. So I'm gonna go with the advantage being the passing game.
We're trying to figure that out. But Alex, as far as your defense is concerned, because you gave him some points against a rookie quarterback last week, right? I mean, granted, they had a defensive touchdown, but it was like Tua. The jury's still out, right? The jury's still out. I think he can manage himself well, he can manage himself well, but he's not. He didn't light up anything, right? You know what I mean? And obviously they couldn't get any run game going, but some points were putting up. So what are y'all doing with the defense? Because is it? I go back and forth. Like sometimes it's like, okay, they got some players, they got some blue chippers on there. I mean, obviously Chandler Jones being lost, but at the same time, it's like sometimes y'all get gashed. So it's like, what are y'all doing to kind of shore that up, or are y'all doing anything?
Yeah. Last game they were down to their 5th and 6th corners.
That's what they said. Yeah.
There. Byron Murphy was out for COVID protocol. Drake Patrick was out. They were running practice squad guys. It's not an excuse. I mean, that's just an explanation as to why they were a little more porous from the secondary position last week. It's the pass rush has been a problem.
Absolutely.
With losing Chandler Jones, they've shown flashes like they gave up 27 points in the first half to Seattle, and then in the second half in overtime they gave up a touchdown. So there was like this whole switch where Vance Joseph looked like an evil genius, and they were running these blitz packages that nobody saw coming. Like I'm calling my co screaming. I'm like, what is this and where has this been?
Yeah.
But it's not like you can just make up for Chandler Jones with guys that aren't Chandler Jones. Otherwise they'd be on other teams making a lot of money. Regarding Isaiah Simmons, I talked about Andy Isabella not being DK Metcalf. Isaiah Simmons is not an offensive lineman, and that's why people are putting added pressure on him, because at 8 overall, the Cardinals looked at the offensive line. You had Jedrick Wills, Tristan Wirfs, and Mekhi Becton sitting there. And the Cardinals decided to pass on him and draft Isaiah Simmons, who was fun. He was one of the hardest hitters and one of the best players in college football, but they're playing in a Power 5 conference. But when the ACC is not really that, they're playing Virginia and Pittsburgh and these crap box teams. It's going to take a while, and that's unnecessary pressure added on him immediately, in my opinion, at least. He's never played inside linebacker before. He played the Jamal Adams safety pass rusher in college, so they're putting him in a position that he's never been in before, and it's going to take some time. But, it's been a Jekyll and Hyde defense for sure. the majority, like if you put it in the grand scheme of things, you take away Pittsburgh, you take away Baltimore. How many good defenses are there in the NFL?
You're right.
Indy,
Yeah.
less than 10.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, and even Pittsburgh and Baltimore,
Yeah,
they
Pittsburgh
combined or 60 points when they played each other.
Right.
So it has to be graded on this 2020 curve where it's like, really, if you score more points than the other team, your defense gets off the hook.
You're right about it.
Like that's, and I mean, look at Seattle. Seattle, I mean, you experienced it.
Oh my God.
Buffalo, like if you can turn the ball over, that's really what good defenses are. It's not a lot of 3 and outs anymore.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Can you turn the ball over and hold teams to field goals?
Yeah.
So the defense, it's been a bend, don't break, and it's broken a little bit more in recent history. But against Miami, it was really they're playing practice squad guys instead of their starting corners, and that was really Tua took advantage of it because he's an NFL quarterback.
He is.
He is. They'll take advantage of it.
So, all right. What I want to do now is, because we're going to play just a little game, over and under game in a second. But I wanted to ask you, because we always put people into tiers now, right? It's like this tier-based thing going on. Like it's kind of this renaissance in the league. Try to put quarterbacks into tiers, running back, everything is tier-based. So, with this recent thing with Cliff, Kingsbury, like, what tier of coaching is he in, right? And I want to ask you, Matt, because I know you look at it like you said, Alex. I appreciate that you look at the Arizona Cardinals in an outside perspective, which is amazing. But I want to go to Matt to kind of hear your thoughts on him, because like Miami, like Brian Flores, like apparently like he looks like a good coach. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it's looking like. And kind of like the pundits, you hear it out there. They're putting him in a certain tier, right? You hear the Matt Rules, like, oh, Brian Flores, like, these guys are, they have this culture going on. They're doing these amazing things. So, Matt, what tier do you look at Cliff Kingsbury? Because when he came in, it was kind of shaky, right? You know what I'm saying? It was like, let's see, right? He's not necessarily Sean McVay because he doesn't have necessarily NFL experience, but he was good in college. He was all right. So Matt, how do you look at him? Is he what tier is he in?
I don't know if I could really give him a tier, but I think that Cliff is probably, if there wasn't Sean McVay, he'd be the best offensive mind in the game right now. I wanted Cliff when we were in a coaching search. If he didn't get a head coaching job, I wanted him to be our offensive coordinator because he ran that air raid in college in Texas Tech. They had no defense, but they would score 60 a game. They had Patrick Mahomes, which is another story. But every time you can count on the Cliff Kingsbury offense to give you 50 points a game, they probably would lose because their defense would give up 60. But I always loved Cliff Kingsbury. He was always that exciting, like where the NFL was shifting to the passing game. He's perfect for that. So when the Cardinals hired him, they got Kyler, and then they got D-Hop. I'm scared of that offense because of the potential offensive mind that Cliff is. And if if Kyler can keep going, he can keep progressing Kyler the way he is, and that offense is going to be scary for years to come. Oh,
let me push back on that, and Alex, I want you to answer because, like, that's what we hear, right? That's the narrative. Mm-hmm. That's been the narrative. But like, I just don't see it. Like, I don't see this offensive genius. Like for me, I don't know if y'all see it. Like maybe as of late, like certain positions where they put Christian Kirk, right? Because he wasn't being used the right way, in my opinion. But now it seems like he's being used the right way. Put him in the slot is getting him, some favorable matchups. Maybe on a linebacker, maybe on a safety who cannot, run with him. But as far as like we talked about the running game with Kenyon Drake, and even like certain positions that they put, I don't know, maybe Larry Fitz is over, but like, he's still old reliable, he's still old faithful. But for me with Cliff, I don't see this like, oh man, this is very intricate. Like, wow, like I really like that play. Is it me? Am I just a Debbie Downer or Alex? Talk to me. What are people saying?
So from the beginning, he was a pre-calculus student that failed pre-calculus and then got promoted to calculus class. He was a bad coach in college, records-wise. He got hired by USC to be the OC because he, above everybody else, had no thought that anybody would talk to him about a head coaching position in the NFL. So he took a job at USC, quit, and then started. This is the way I talk about Cliff. So with Sean McVay and Jared Goff will go only as far as Sean McVay takes him. Mm-hmm. He will win because of Sean McVay. Kyler Murray will win in spite of Cliff Kingsbury.
Thank you.
Cliff Kingsbury will go as far as Kyler Murray takes him.
Okay.
And it's not an original story. Like, so many coaches. Look at Bill Belichick. I know Bill Belichick is an evil genius, and he's probably the greatest defensive mind we've seen. And the fact that he's the head coach and GM and he's been that way for 2 decades is unbelievable. It's not like that, but there are so many coaches. Mike McCoy, Adam Gase with Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
You know, it's
oh
just
my God, yes.
Sometimes the quarterback just gifts guys millions and millions of dollars because they did their job, but really he was the quarterback. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Tier-wise, there are a lot of bad coaches in the NFL.
Absolutely. There's
a lot. There's a lot. And I would say Kyle Shanahan's probably the best offensive mind in the game, but Kyle Shanahan has an under 500 record as a head coach. Like, people see it as 12-4, whatever they went last year. Forgot that they won 4 games the year before.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just like there's an upper echelon: Andy Reid, Sean Payton, John Harbaugh, Bill Belichick. That's it. Like, that's it. I mean, that's taking the place of Breeze, Brady, Rodgers as the upper echelon.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a bunch of guys. I think Brian Flores and Sean McDermott are 2 of the best in the game. Sean McDermott doesn't have a great record. They have 2 playoff wins or 2 playoff berths. They probably should have won the playoff game last year. But, like, Sean McDermott, he needs, like, in my opinion, he's got to take, because he was so successful so early in such a crap box. Just from what I see, it's just we're winning a lot. You know?
No.
I mean, it was a great defensive team, great running team, but you're not winning games like in the NFL now. He just comes in and adds this elixir, and it's just now they're a stable organization. The GM's great. Like, I love the Bills organization. And then Brian Flores is blowing the roof off everything. Nobody expected this.
Nobody.
The fact that they won 5 games last year is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I would say Cliff Kingsbury is probably in the 3rd tier. He's a C+, B- student.
Okay.
I'd say right around, and there's room to grow. He's going to get better. He's never been the fact that he's like, if I had a dream, it would be to bring in a head coach to oversee everything and let Cliff just call the plays. It's not a demotion.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just let Cliff eat where he eats.
Yeah.
And have an adult in the room is what I say. Like, when it comes to, like, Vance Joseph is the head coach of the defense and Cliff Kingsbury head coach of the offense. There's no intertwining.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's no bleeding of those colors.
Mm-hmm.
There's defense and there's offense. And when the defense is S in the bed, Cliff Kingsbury should, like a head coach, should be able to make adjustments.
Yeah.
He's not doing it, but he doesn't do that because he can't speak defense. So that's why there should be enough. But he's a middle tier head coach, which is fine. You'd rather have that than a Matt Patricia or a Doug Marrone or
Adam
like
Gase.
Adam Gase, yeah,
He's worse.
They wanted Adam Gase too. They wanted Adam Gase.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
It's terrible. Yeah. But all right, I appreciate that. So we're gonna get a little lighthearted, but like, this is how, we definitely we're gonna talk about the game this way. I like to talk about the game this way because it gives some people may call them degenerates, some people may call them, smart people, but it gives those people something to kind of look at. And so we like to play a little over-under game, right? I like to throw some numbers out there, and I go to Matt, I go to you, Alex, and let's just see where we lie at. So with that being said, I'm going to start. All right. I'm going to D-Hop. He got Trey White on him. But over-under 68.5 yards.
Over.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, yeah. 3 for 30 last week. This is going to be a 12-target game. The most overstated thing is, they're a good corner. Don't throw at him.
Yeah.
Shut up. Just throw at him. Who cares? Like, Deion Sanders stole half the field because people were too much
scared to throw, yeah.
Penny ways to throw the ball. Just throw the ball. If he picks the ball off twice, then stop. But hammer that over.
Okay. Hammer, everybody. You heard it.
Hammer that over.
Matt, how you feel about it?
I like it too. I mean,
okay.
he's good for a 30+ yard catch a game too, or he's due for that. So I think he goes over too. And Trey White hasn't been the Trey White of last year. He should have been the defensive MVP, but that's another story.
Okay. All right. Let's go to his counterpart. Matter of fact, you know what? I don't want to go to his counterpart because this is John Brown. I say this jokingly, but this is his revenge game. He was drafted by Arizona. People may not know, and they gave up on him. So, John Brown over under 53.5 yards. Alex.
I think all those receivers are going to eat.
Okay.
Like I'll take the over on that because that's one play.
You right about it, Matt.
That's one play.
Yeah, I think over.
Okay, y'all heard it first. Y'all got 2 overs. I gave y'all 2 already, y'all. All right, let's go to Kyler Murray.
Over.
Yeah, listen. It's crazy because the people who set these overs and unders, I don't think they've been catching up. So but I'm about to. Over under Kyler Murray, 87 rushing yards.
Under.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
makes sense.
under. I don't. Yeah,
he's been on a tear though.
No, I know, but you don't want him run like if you can run an offense without your quarterback running the ball, that's a win.
Yeah.
Like like I used to. Oh man, how did I say it? Kyler Murray is playing jazz music when everybody else is dancing the waltz. Like he kind of lives in the gray, where he finds the holes and he does, and he's all about reading defenses on the fly instead of like, well, this is a run play, we're going to do this, or if this is a design this, we're going to do this. When everybody's doing a box dance, he's playing jazz. It's a little different.
Okay. All right, Matt, what you think? Under?
Yeah, I think under.
Yeah, 87 is a lot of yards, but I mean
that's a lot of yards. That's a lot for a running back in this league.
I know say that, but literally I was listening. It was like Kyler Murray is like the 6th best running back in fantasy, and he's not a running back. Like I mean, he's literally the 6th best, and it's like it's kind of hard to just like set a 50 or 60 yard because he can pop a 31, and then it's like he's on his way. Yeah. But let's see. Put Josh Allen. Over under 32 completions.
Matt, you take this one first, man. I don't want to go first.
I'm gonna go under on that one.
Okay.
They've been throwing the ball a lot, but that's a lot of completions.
It is.
32. That you got to throw the ball 50 times pretty much, to get that. That's a lot, man. I'm gonna go under.
You say under, Alex?
Oh, I'm gonna say over.
Listen.
Look, they ran for what? You had 5 rushing yards.
Oh my god, I don't want to talk about it. Yes.
This secondary. Listen, Matt. No, Matt, your call is right. That is the rational decision to make. Mm-hmm. But ain't nothing rational about this defense or that offense.
No.
The reason I'm going under though is I think that, like you said, the 15-second scoring thing. I think that they'll get chunks of yardage, so that'll cut the completions down. I think you'll get some 20 plus, 30 plus, 30 yard. Because last week he had 7 guys that caught over 20-yard passes. Okay. So I think the completions are going to go down. I don't think he's going to get that many completions, but the yards will be up, but the completions won't be that high.
All right, I can do that.
I only say it because and we're gonna get predictions in a second. I appreciate Alex for his time, but it's a 55.5 over under. I mean, ho hum. I mean they're saying
Texas Tech Oklahoma game.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a barn burner, so it's like the points have to come from somewhere. But nonetheless, what I want to know is this: over under, and I'm gonna just say the running back of the Arizona Cardinals over under. I don't know who, because Kenyon Drake is up in the air. Over under 88.5 rushing yards.
From one guy or them?
No, to combine.
Yeah, over.
Okay.
Over. Yeah, even removing Kyler Murray from it, over.
Yeah, removing Kyler just from the running backs.
Yeah, they're going to run it. They're going to establish it, continue it, because that's the way to eat the clock and keep Josh Allen off the field.
Okay. Matt, over?
Yeah, I agree. If you go the combined backfield, that's for sure.
All right. Over, under, Kyler Murray, 1.5 touchdowns, passing touchdowns.
Over,
okay.
Is that's the line?
That is the line.
What? I mean, I know that Vegas knows more than all of us combined.
Yes.
But man.
Well, you know what though? They set those lines.
They set 1.5.
For that is pretty big though. It's not like you're making even money on that though. I think it's minus 200.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know if it's minus 200 for him. But no. Seriously, what happens is the line is they always set the 1.5. Like generally, Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? Like him, Patrick Mahomes, they bump it up to 2.5, but it's always 1.5. But y'all think you think he's gonna throw 2 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Okay, Matt, you think he's gonna throw 2?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Okay.
I'll probably take that tomorrow too. But.
All right. This is what I really want to know. This is what the people want to know. Over under Bills defense 2.5 turnovers.
Oh, them forcing
2.5 turnovers. Yes.
Under.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't like Kyler throws picks, but it's not. He's getting better.
Okay.
Like, I'll take the under.
Matt?
Yeah, I'm gonna go under too, just because I mean we haven't turned the ball over a lot this year. Last week was like it was a mirage. You know what I mean? We turned the ball over a lot. It wasn't how we normally do things. So I'm gonna go under.
Okay. All right. It's interesting. I mean, then apparently this 55.5. I think. Are y'all saying over? Is that what I'm hearing? That's what I'm hearing.
I thought you said 65.5.
No, 55. Are you serious?
I think it's gonna be this. We'll get into predictions.
Yeah, we're gonna be. Yeah.
Well, I think they're gonna crush the 55.
Yeah,
Alex.
I heard that this is the highest line ever for a Buffalo Bills team.
Wow, yeah. I didn't even know. Wow, probably. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
I think it was, we interviewed somebody, and it was 56 was the line they got from whatever book they were looking at. They said that was the biggest line for any Buffalo Bills team in history. I believe that's
wow.
Yeah, I'll take the under. I don't think that it's going to be like 55. It's so hard. Like, it's so tempting, and it seems so obvious to hammer the over.
It does.
But there's like scoring 30 points is a lot.
It is.
It's a lot of points to score. And it means you got to get in the end zone every time. I mean, I'm taking the under, but I might even actually just hit the number without the hook. I mean, I think 55 might be a good number. I don't think it's going to be in the 60s.
Okay. Let me see. Do I want to ask one more for the people? I seen one. I'm thinking I might put a little wager on it. I'll say that. I don't want to jinx it. All right. I appreciate it. No, because I look at the time. I appreciate Alex for your time. I know you got up early. So what we want to do is, what I like to do, I want to get 2 keys to success, right? I need Arizona. I need you to give me 2 keys to success for Arizona. Matt, I need you to give me 2 keys to success for Buffalo. Then we're going to get predictions. I need to score who's going to win. All right. I think the line is 2.5. Matt, is it 2.5?
You know what? I haven't even looked at it since it opened.
I think it was.
Check it out right now. Yeah, it's 2.5.
Yeah, it's 2.5. Yeah. So, all right. But Alex, can you give me 2 keys to success for the Arizona Cardinals to beat the Buffalo Bills tomorrow?
Run the ball effectively, number 1, and then number 2, which is how you beat. Like, again, I love Josh Allen. I do. He gives you 2 to 3 turnovers a game, and you just have to be opportunistic about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he throws a couple balls every game that can be intercepted. You put him in a situation where he can have his fumble retroactively back to his rookie year. So turning him over is going to be via putting pressure on him. It's not going to be dropping into coverage because the receivers are too good; they're too fast. It's trying to get in his grill, trying to get in his chin strap, and have him turn the ball over, whether it be through interceptions or putting the ball on the ground. But that's the big one.
Okay.
That's the big one. Turning Josh Allen is the way to beat the Bills.
Matty Ice?
Yeah, I'm gonna say what I would say is kind of like the same thing I said last week. You gotta keep Kyler off the field, and then you gotta get home on your sacks and your pass rushes. They did last week. They had 7 sacks, and that it was not like us to do that. You gotta get home to them, because if you let them run around or obviously break off runs, and you're going to be on the field for a long time. You're not going to get Josh Allen on the field. We need Josh Allen on the field for majority of the game to score points. I'm going to say that's one key. And the other key I would say is the same sentiment on offense. We got to run a little bit more effectively to keep the ball. You know what I mean? Keep the ball, keep Kyler off the field, give us more chances to score. And that's what I'm going to say.
All right. Prediction time. I need a score, and obviously who's going to win the game. Matt, what you got for me?
And I'm going to go with 35-31 Buffalo.
Ooh, 35-31.
We're just going to get
Alex.
27-24 Cardinals. And I haven't picked the Cardinals to win in a couple weeks. I just think that this is the pivotal game for their year.
It is. It is.
They have Seattle in a short week next week on Thursday.
This is. I think this is one pundit, but this is Cliff Kingsbury kitchen sink game. He has to this is a spot like Buffalo. This is not a must win for us. Like, we don't have to win the game. It doesn't really hurt. I mean, granted, Miami is on our tails, but it's not a must win. But for Arizona, I think is a kitchen sink game. But for me, I went low. I got 24-20 Buffalo. I think that we're gonna have the ball in the last possession, and I believe that I think Josh Allen is gonna come through for us for some reason. Like maybe it's a dream, but I definitely had that in my mind. 24-20. So I don't think I'm gonna play the over. I think it's like it's kind of just too obvious. Like like and sometimes a lot of these games now, the over under has been set high, and it's like, oh my god, it's going to hit, and it doesn't hit. But but it happens. Vegas does it to us all the time. But again, Alex, we really we appreciate your time. And if you can, just give us your social where people can find you once again.
Yeah, at Clancy's Corner on Twitter. And if you want to hear any Arizona Cardinals news for any reason, just Google Locked On Arizona Cardinals anywhere you find podcasts.
Okay. We appreciate him. And
Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, Matt, for being on. And as customary, Matt, we always end the podcast with a little hey.
Hey.
All right, we thank